Be me, 28-year-old feminist woman. Spent my entire adult life educating people about gender equality. Have a degree in gender studies and work as a diversity consultant. Always been super confident that I understand everything about dating dynamics and how men have it so easy. Men are the privileged ones in dating, obviously. They can be average looking and still get matches. They don't have to worry about safety. They don't get objectified. Meanwhile, women have to deal with creeps and dick pics. Have been single for like 3 years by choice because men are just so low effort. They don't meet my standards. I need someone who is a true feminist ally, makes good money, is over 6 feet, emotionally available, and knows how to communicate. Is that really too much to ask? Have had countless arguments with male friends about how they just don't understand female struggle. One of them, Jake, is this annoying guy who went MG Tao, or whatever, always talking about how modern dating is rigged against men. Such a victim mentality. He complains that women have impossible standards and that average men are invisible on dating apps. I always roll my eyes. Told him multiple times that if he just worked on himself and stopped being so negative, he would find someone. He says he tried for years and got nothing but rejection and being ignored. Whatever, dude, it's probably your personality. One day at a coffee shop, Jake starts going on again about how brutal it is for men, saying women only swipe right on the top 10% of men, saying that women get hundreds of matches while average guys get nothing, saying women have no idea what it's actually like. I'm getting so annoyed. Tell him that women have to filter through tons of garbage and that we have legitimate safety concerns. He says sure, but that doesn't change the fact that most men are completely invisible. I scoff and say that if it was really that bad, I could make a male profile and get matches easily. It's all about personality and how you present yourself. Jake gets this weird smile. He says, okay, prove it. Says, if I really think it's so easy, then I should make a realistic male profile and try it for a week. Not a male model, just an average guy. See what it's actually like from the other side. I laugh and say, fine, easy. This will be a great experiment to prove him wrong. Also, it will give me even more insight into male privilege from the inside. I can write about it later. Jake says he has conditions, though. I have to make the profile realistic, average-looking guy with normal interests. I have to actually try to get matches and dates like a real person would. I have to not mention the experiment to anyone I'm matching with. And I have to stick with it for 1 full week minimum. I agree immediately. This is going to be so easy. I'm great at communication and understanding people. My profile will stand out because I'll actually show emotional intelligence. Jake wishes me luck with that same annoying smile. I go home that night and start setting up my fake male profile. Decide to call him Mark. Look through stock photos and find a pretty average-looking guy. Not ugly, but not a model. Maybe like a 6 out of 10. Normal brown hair, decent smile, average build. Figure this is a fair representation. Start writing the bio. This is where I'll shine. I write about how Mark is emotionally available and loves deep conversations. Mention that he respects women and believes in equality. Say he likes hiking, reading, trying new restaurants, and meaningful connections. Mention he has a decent job in IT. Make sure to note that he's looking for something serious, not hookups. Emphasize his communication skills. Honestly, it's a great profile. Way better than what most men probably write. This is going to destroy Jake's argument. Set the filters to women ages 24 to 32 within 25 miles. Start swiping right on women who seem nice and have actual bios. I'm not just mindlessly swiping like men probably do. I'm being selective and intentional. Swipe right on maybe 30% of profiles. The ones who seem like they have substance. Finish my first session and wait for the matches to roll in. Check an hour later. 0 matches. Well, it's still early. Probably just need to give it time. Check before bed. Still nothing. Okay, whatever. It's only been a few hours. Wake up the next morning excited to see my matches. Open the app. 0 matches still. What the hell? I swiped right on like 50 women yesterday. Go back to swiping. Spend another hour swiping right on more profiles. Really reading them and choosing women who seem compatible with Mark's profile. Check throughout the day. Still nothing. Not a single match. By the evening, I'm getting frustrated. This doesn't make sense. Mark's profile is really good. Better than most men who probably just post shirtless gym pics. Maybe I need to be less selective. Start swiping right more frequently. Probably around 60% now. Check the next morning. 1 match. Finally. Open it excitedly. Her profile has 1 blurry photo and no bio. I send a thoughtful message asking about her interests. She unmatches immediately. Are you kidding me? Keep swiping over the next few days. Being way less selective now. Swiping right on like 80% of profiles. After 4 days, I have 3 matches total. One is definitely a bot. One unmatched after I said hello. One responded with K and then stopped replying. This is insane. I have friends who are average-looking women who get hundreds of matches. My own profile as a woman has over 500 likes waiting. But as an average man, I can't even get a conversation going. Start to realize that maybe Jake had a point. But no, I'm probably just doing something wrong. Maybe the profile needs adjustment. Spend an hour rewriting the bio to be more fun and less serious. Add some jokes. Change the photos to ones where Mark looks more adventurous. Keep swiping. By day 6, I have 7 matches total. Only 2 have responded to messages. Both conversations died after like 3 exchanges. One girl just stopped responding when I asked about her weekend. The other one seemed interested until I suggested getting coffee. Then ghost. I'm starting to feel actual frustration. Like genuine annoyance at being ignored. Never experienced this before. As a woman, I always had options. Even when I was being picky. Could always get matches and responses. As Mark, I am literally invisible. Most women don't even see the profile probably. The algorithm must be burying it. That's the only explanation. Decide to do an experiment within the experiment. Create a new profile with a really attractive male model type. Same bio, same everything, just a hot guy. Within 1 hour, I have 30 matches. Women messaging me first, asking me out, being super forward, saying things that would be considered harassment if a man sent them. One woman just messages, "You're hot, come over." Another sends a sexual message immediately. These are the same types of women who had full bios about wanting respect and meaningful connections. I am shook. This can't be real. Decide to do another test. Make the hot guy profile bio absolutely terrible. Write that he has no job, lives with his parents, and is just looking for fun. Add some mildly concerning statements about not being over his ex. Doesn't matter. Still getting matches and messages. Women overlooking all the red flags because he's hot. Meanwhile, Mark, with his thoughtful bio and decent looks, gets nothing. Go back to Mark's profile, feeling defeated. It's day 7 now. I told Jake I would do a full week. Have gotten 9 matches total. 0 actual conversations that went anywhere. 0 dates. 0 genuine interest. Feel like I've been shouting into the void. Keep thinking about how I have always judged men for their approach to dating. Told them to just be better communicators. To show more effort. To be more interesting. But Mark is all those things, and he's completely invisible. The problem isn't effort or personality. It's that women have such an abundance of options that average men don't even register. Women are swiping right on like 5% of men. And those men are the top tier in looks. Everything else is secondary. All the things I thought mattered barely factor in. Start feeling weird about my own dating history. Realize I also filtered men primarily by looks and height. Told myself it was about compatibility, but really, I never gave average-looking guys a chance. They had to meet my physical standards first before I even looked at their personality. The men I rejected probably felt exactly like I feel right now as Mark. Invisible, frustrated, confused, why effort doesn't matter. Check Mark's profile one last time before meeting Jake to discuss the experiment. Still no new matches. No messages. Nothing. Feel actually sad about it. Like a weird grief. Meet Jake at the same coffee shop. He can tell immediately from my face. Asks how it went. I sigh and tell him everything. The lack of matches, the unmatches, the ghosts, the difference with the hot guy profile. He nods knowingly the whole time. Says he tried to tell me. Says this was his exact experience for years. I'm getting defensive. Say that this doesn't change the fact that women face harassment and safety issues. He agrees but says that doesn't invalidate the male experience either. Says being ignored and invisible has its own psychological toll. Says, imagine feeling unwanted and undesirable for years while being told you have all the privilege. I'm feeling attacked now. Say that men need to understand women are just being careful. He says, sure, but the solution isn't to act like average men have it easy in dating. Says women have legitimate complaints, and men have legitimate complaints. Both can be true. I'm not ready to accept this. Tell him that women have higher standards because we have to. We're selecting for resources and protection evolutionarily. He raises an eyebrow. Asks if I'm really using evolutionary psychology to justify looks-based discrimination. Says if a man said he only dated young attractive women because of evolutionary psychology, I would call him a pig. He's right and I hate it. Try to argue that it's different. He asks how. I genuinely can't articulate it. Just sputter something about patriarchy and historical power dynamics. He sighs. Says he's not trying to win an argument. Says he just wanted me to see the other perspective. Says most men don't hate women or blame them individually. They're just frustrated with a system that makes them feel worthless. And then they get called privileged on top of it. I'm sitting there feeling all these conflicting emotions. Part of me wants to double down and defend my previous positions. Part of me knows he's right and I never really understood. Part of me is angry that my worldview is being challenged. Jake says something that really hits me. Says the reason he went MGTOW wasn't because he hates women. It's because he got tired of being treated as disposable. Tired of being told his struggles don't matter. Tired of working on himself for years only to remain invisible. Tired of being seen as a potential ATM or utility rather than a person. Says he decided to find fulfillment outside of female validation. And the moment he did, he became happier. I ask why he even cares about this if he's MGTOW now. He says because he has empathy for guys still struggling. And because he's tired of being gaslit about his own experiences. I'm quiet for a long time. Finally admit that I had no idea it was this hard. Admit that I probably would have given up after a few days of that. Admit that my advice to men about just being better communicators was probably useless. He appreciates the honesty, but then says something that kind of pisses me off. Says the real test is whether I'll actually change my behavior or just acknowledge the problem abstractly. Says most people, when confronted with uncomfortable truths, just compartmentalize them. They'll admit something intellectually but not change their actions. I ask what he means. He asks if I'm going to give average-looking guys a real chance now. Asks if I'm going to be honest with other women about these dynamics. Asks if I'm going to stop dismissing men's issues in dating. I'm feeling very defensive again. Say that I still have the right to my standards. He agrees immediately. Says everyone has the right to their standards. But then I should stop acting like men are privileged in dating. Should stop acting like their struggles are just due to not trying hard enough. Should stop giving useless advice about personality and communication when looks are 90% of the initial filter. And most importantly, stop acting entitled to top-tier men while calling average men entitled for wanting a chance. That last one stings. Realize that I have felt entitled to high-value men. Felt like I deserved a man who was tall, handsome, successful, and emotionally available. Never questioned whether I brought equivalent value. Just assumed I did because I'm a woman and we're told we're all queens. Meanwhile, I called men entitled for having any standards at all, or for being frustrated with rejection. Try to argue that it's still different because of safety. He points out that I can screen for safety without only swiping on male models. Says a 5'9" guy with an average face can be just as safe as a 6'2" guy with a model face. But I never gave those guys a chance to prove it. I'm getting emotional now. Feel like my entire framework for understanding gender dynamics is crumbling. Jake notices and his tone softens a bit. Says he's not trying to make me feel bad. Just wants acknowledgement and honesty. Says the reason he did this experiment with me was because I'm influential in my social circle. If I actually understood and spoke honestly about this, it could change a lot of minds. But if I just go back to the same talking points, nothing changes. I ask why he even wants things to change if he's gone his own way. He says because he has younger brothers and male friends still in the dating market, and he's tired of watching them suffer and blame themselves. Tired of watching them spend money on therapy and self-improvement while being told they're the problem, when the actual problem is a market dynamic where most men are invisible. We sit in silence for a bit. I'm processing everything. Finally, I ask what he thinks the solution is. He laughs bitterly, says there isn't one really. You can't force women to be attracted to men they're not attracted to. You can't regulate dating apps to make them more fair. You can't change female hypergamy. The only solution for individual men is to either be in the top tier or opt out. And he chose to opt out. I ask if he ever gets lonely. He says sometimes, but not as lonely as he felt when he was trying and failing constantly. At least now the loneliness is on his own terms. And he's built a life he actually enjoys rather than one designed to attract women. I don't know what to say to that. Part of me wants to tell him he'll find someone eventually, but I know that's just platitudes now. I've seen the data firsthand. Average men really are invisible. Unless they get lucky or lower their standards significantly, they're probably going to be alone. And that's assuming they can even get matches with women who have lower standards. Because even below average women can match with above average men for casual stuff. So why would they settle for an average guy? The whole system is broken. I tell Jake, I need time to think about all this. He says that's fine, but asks me one more favor. Wants me to keep the Mark profile active for another week. Really sit with the feeling of being invisible. Let it sink in. I'm reluctant, but agree. We part ways and I'm walking home feeling completely disoriented. Everything I thought I knew about dating feels naive now. Get home and look at my own dating profile. I have 800 likes. Dozens of messages. Most of them from decent-looking guys trying to start conversations. I barely ever responded to anyone under 6 feet. Barely gave anyone who wasn't obviously attractive a chance. Told myself I was just being selective, but I was really just exercising the privilege of abundance. Something I always denied women had in dating. Open Mark's profile. Still nothing new. Imagine being a real guy experiencing this. Day after day, month after month, year after year. The psychological damage must be immense. The hit to self-esteem, the growing resentment, and then being told you're privileged. Being told to just be more confident. Being told it's your fault. No wonder men are giving up. Over the next few days, I keep checking both profiles. My female profile continues to get attention constantly. Mark's profile is completely dead. Even when I swipe right on literally everyone, I still barely get matches. And the few matches I get don't respond or unmatch quickly. Start noticing how women talk about men in my friend groups. Never noticed before how casual the contempt is. Jokes about men being useless. Complaints about how there are no good men out there. Meanwhile, these same women only swipe right on the top percentage of men. The good men are there, they're just invisible to them. One friend complains that men don't approach anymore. I used to agree with her. Now I'm thinking about how many rejections the average guy has faced. Why would they keep approaching? Another friend talks about her ridiculous dating app experience. Says she has too many matches and can't keep up. Complains that most of the guys just want hookups. Yeah, because those are the top tier guys who have infinite options. The guys who want relationships are the ones getting no matches. But they're invisible to her. I bring up the experiment casually. Say I made a male profile to see what it's like. The reactions are surprising. Most of my friends dismiss it. Say I probably just made a bad profile. Or that I was swiping on women out of my league. The same excuses I used to make. One friend says men exaggerate how hard it is. I literally show her the numbers. Show her Mark's profile versus the model profile. She's uncomfortable and changes the subject. Another friend says that women have to be picky because of safety. I point out that pickiness based on height and looks doesn't correlate with safety. She gets defensive. Realize that women have a vested interest in not acknowledging this. Because acknowledging it means acknowledging their own privilege. Means acknowledging that maybe they're not oppressed in every single domain. Means accepting that men have legitimate grievances. And that threatens the narrative. I'm starting to understand why Jake got so frustrated with me. Check in with him after the second week. Tell him I've kept the profile active. Tell him about my friends' reactions. He's not surprised. Says most people don't want to hear it. Says even when confronted with evidence, they rationalize it away. I admit I'm struggling with what to do with this information. He says that's up to me, but suggests I at least stop giving men advice about dating since I clearly didn't understand it, and maybe examine my own standards and entitlement. That word again, entitlement. I'm so used to calling men entitled. Never thought about my own entitlement. Entitled to attention, to options, to high-value men. Entitled to reject people for superficial reasons while claiming I care about personality. Entitled to sympathy for my struggles while dismissing male struggles. It's a hard pill to swallow. Spend the next few days really thinking about my dating history. All the guys I dismissed without a second thought. The ones who were too short, too average looking, too boring, which really meant not exciting enough in the first few messages. Had I ever given a truly average guy a real chance? Honestly, no. And I convinced myself it was because of compatibility or chemistry. But really, I just had so many options I could afford to be superficial. Think about what I actually bring to a relationship. I'm decent looking, but not a model. I have a job, but it's not high paying. I have interests, but nothing extraordinary. I'm in okay shape, but nothing special. Yet, I expected men to be tall, handsome, successful, interesting, funny, and emotionally available. While offering what exactly? My presence, I guess. because I'm a woman and that's supposed to be enough. The entitlement is staggering when I actually examine it. Decide to do another experiment. Start actually responding to some average guys on my real profile. Guys I would have normally ignored. Ones who are 5'8" or 5'9". Ones who are like a 6 in looks. Ones with normal jobs. The conversations are actually fine. These guys are putting in effort. Asking questions, being engaged, trying to be interesting. But I feel no attraction. And I realize that's the core problem. I can't force myself to be attracted to them. And they probably sense my lack of enthusiasm. It's not fair to them to pretend. So I'm back to square one. I have standards I can't change. But those standards mean most men are invisible to me. Just like they are to most women. Which means most men are going to be alone or settle for someone who isn't attracted to them. It's actually dystopian when you think about it. Talk to Jake about this realization. He says, welcome to the black pill. Says once you see it, you can't unsee it. Says the dating market is fundamentally broken for most men. And there's no fixing it without massive social changes that will never happen. I ask if he thinks I should just force myself to date someone I'm not attracted to. He says absolutely not. Says that's unfair to both people. But I should at least be honest about the dynamics. Stop pretending personality matters most when it clearly doesn't. Stop giving false hope to men that they just need to work on themselves. Stop acting like women are oppressed in dating when they have abundance. And stop calling men entitled or bitter when they're just responding rationally to their circumstances. I can do that at least. Feel like I should apologize to every man I gave shitty advice to. Every time I said, just be confident. Every time I said personality matters most. Every time I dismissed their experiences. I was speaking from ignorance and privilege. Jake says the fact that I'm even acknowledging this puts me ahead of most women. Most will never admit it even to themselves. They'll keep believing they're oppressed while exercising enormous power in the dating market. Keep believing men are privileged while most men are suffering. It's a comfortable lie. I chose to see the uncomfortable truth. Over the following weeks, I make changes. Stop giving men dating advice. When friends complain about no good men, I point out their actual standards. When someone dismisses male struggles, I push back. Stop participating in casual male bashing. Actually examine my own behavior and entitlement. My friend group doesn't like it. I get called a pick-me. Get accused of defending toxic men. Get told I'm betraying feminism. One friend says I sound like a men's rights activist. The same friend who has 1,000 matches and complains there are no good men. The cognitive dissonance is amazing. Some friends distance themselves from me. Apparently acknowledging male perspective is threatening. Makes sense though. If they acknowledged it, they'd have to examine their own behavior. Easier to just ostracize me. Jake finds it amusing. Says I'm getting a small taste of what men experience for speaking up about this. Immediate social punishment. Being labeled and dismissed. Having your concerns treated as threatening or hateful. He's right. It's a small taste, but it's eye-opening. Start reading more about men's issues. Suicide rates, homelessness, education gap, family court bias, lack of support systems. How did I never pay attention to this before? I was so focused on female victimhood I couldn't see male victimhood. Didn't fit the narrative. Men are oppressors, not victims in my worldview. But the data tells a different story. Yes, women face issues, but so do men. And men's issues are systematically ignored or mocked. Feel like I've been living in an ideological bubble. One that confirmed all my biases. Made me feel righteous and superior, but was fundamentally dishonest about reality. The bubble is popped now. Can't go back. Check Mark's profile one last time before deleting it. 3 weeks active total. 15 matches. 0 meaningful conversations. 0 dates. 0 interest. This was with me trying hard, being thoughtful, being selective, then less selective. Imagine men who are even more average than Mark. Or who have less going for them. They must get literally nothing. Delete the profile feeling genuinely sad. Mourn for all the invisible men. The ones who will spend years trying and getting nowhere. The ones who will internalize it as personal failure. The ones who will be told they're not trying hard enough. The ones who will eventually give up. The Jakes of the world who opted out. Can't even be mad at them anymore. It's a rational response to an irrational situation. Meet with Jake one final time to close out this whole thing. Thank him for opening my eyes. He says most people would have doubled down instead. Asks what I'm going to do with this knowledge. I honestly don't know. Can't change the dating market. Can't force myself to have different attractions. Can't even really change minds because people don't want to hear it. He says just being honest is enough. Not contributing to the gaslighting. Not giving false hope. Not dismissing male experience. That's something. I agree to that. He seems satisfied. We're about to part ways when I ask him something that's been on my mind. Ask if he ever wanted to date me. He laughs. Says a few years ago maybe. But he knew I would have rejected him. He's not tall enough, not exciting enough, too cynical. Not the kind of guy I went for. I start to protest, but stop. Because he's right. I would have rejected him without a second thought. Would have thought I was too good for him. While offering nothing more than he offered. Just female privilege and entitlement. He sees the realization on my face. Says it's okay, no hard feelings. He's genuinely moved on. Happier alone than he ever was seeking female approval. We say goodbye, and I walk home thinking about everything. Thinking about how I was so confident in my worldview. So sure I understood everything about gender dynamics. So certain that men were privileged and women were oppressed in all domains. Took 1 week of being an average man to shatter all of it. 1 week of invisibility. 1 week of being disposable. 1 week of effort meaning nothing. And I wanted to quit. Men live this for years or decades. No wonder they're angry. No wonder they're opting out. No wonder they're frustrated with feminism. From their perspective, feminism focuses only on female struggles while ignoring or mocking theirs. Claims to want equality but only in domains where women lag behind. Silent about domains where men lag behind. I was part of that. Championed female advancement while dismissive of male struggles. Called it equality, but it wasn't. It was female advocacy dressed up as egalitarianism. Real equality would mean acknowledging both sides. Acknowledging male privilege where it exists. Acknowledging female privilege where it exists. Acknowledging male struggles and female struggles. But that doesn't happen. Because it's not really about equality. It's about advantage for your group. I'm sitting with all these uncomfortable truths. My whole identity was wrapped up in being a feminist. Being righteous, being on the right side. Fighting the good fight. But I was fighting based on incomplete information. Based on an ideology that cherry-picked reality. What do I do now? Can't go back to my old beliefs. But fully abandoning feminism feels like betraying myself. I'm in this weird liminal space. Understanding both perspectives. Unable to commit fully to either side. Jake would probably say that's growth. Being able to hold complexity. Not needing everything to fit a neat narrative. Maybe he's right. Maybe the answer isn't picking a side. Maybe it's just being honest about reality even when it's uncomfortable. Acknowledging that dating is brutal for most men. Acknowledging that I benefited from female privilege in that domain. Acknowledging that my standards contribute to male suffering. While also acknowledging I can't and won't change those standards. It's hypocritical, maybe. But at least it's honest. Better than lying about it. Better than gaslighting men about their experiences. Better than pretending personality matters most when looks determine everything. Decide that's where I land. Honest about the dynamics even if I don't change my behavior. Stop giving advice and acting like I understand the male experience. Stop dismissing their legitimate grievances. Stop contributing to the narrative that they're privileged in dating. It's not much, but it's something. More than most women will do. Check my own dating app one last time tonight. Still hundreds of likes. Still dozens of messages. Still abundant options. Feel weird about it now. Not grateful or entitled. Just aware of the enormous privilege it represents. Privilege I never acknowledged before. Privilege that comes at the cost of most men's happiness. Not my fault the system is this way. But also not something to be smug about. Delete most of my old social media posts about dating and male privilege. They were ignorant, based on theories rather than experience. I thought I knew everything. Turned out I knew nothing. 1 week, as an average man, taught me more than 4 years of gender studies. Maybe that should have been part of the curriculum. Mandatory perspective taking. But that would threaten too many comfortable beliefs. Better to keep people in their bubbles. Keep them convinced of their own oppression and others' privilege. Keep them fighting while the system continues. I'm rambling now even to myself. But that's where this whole thing left me. Disillusioned with my previous beliefs. Unable to go back. But also unable to fully move forward. Stuck in between. Understanding both sides. Helping neither. Just existing with uncomfortable knowledge. Jake was right about one thing, though. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The dating market is fundamentally broken for most men. No amount of self-improvement will fix it. No amount of therapy or confidence building. They're competing in a market where they're invisible. Where women have abundance and can afford to be superficial. Where top-tier men get everything and average men get nothing. And there's no solution. You can't force attraction. Can't regulate desire. Can't make women choose differently. Can only acknowledge the reality. And stop gaslighting men about it. That's my takeaway from this whole experience. That, and a hefty dose of humility. Turns out I didn't know everything. Turns out men had legitimate points I dismissed. Turns out female privilege is real in some domains. Turns out my advice was useless and possibly harmful. Turns out Jake was smarter than me all along. He saw the reality clearly. I was blinded by ideology. He opted out and found peace. I stayed in and maintained comfortable lies. Until I couldn't anymore. So here I am. Former insufferable feminist. Now just insufferable in a different way, probably. At least I'm honest now. At least I see clearly. Even if I don't like what I see. Even if it makes me uncomfortable. Truth matters more than comfort. Took me too long to learn that. But better late than never, I guess. Still not gonna date average men, though. Can't force attraction. Still have my standards. But at least I won't pretend it's about anything other than looks. Won't pretend personality could overcome it. Won't give false hope. Won't gaslight. Just honest about being shallow. Like most women are, whether they admit it or not. That's something. Not much, but something. Jake would probably laugh at this whole internal monologue. Say I still don't fully get it. Maybe he's right. Probably is. But I've come further than most. Further than I thought I would. 1 week, as an average man, changed everything. Showed me the brutal reality. The invisible majority. The disposable men. The ones society doesn't care about. The ones feminism doesn't fight for. The ones I used to dismiss. I see them now. Still won't date them. But I see them. And I won't pretend their struggles don't exist anymore. Won't contribute to the gaslighting. It's not much. But it's honest. And honesty is more than most people offer. So I guess that's where I end up. Humble, disillusioned, but honest. No longer insufferable in my ignorance. Just insufferable in my honesty. An improvement, maybe. Or maybe just a different flavor of insufferable. Either way, can't go back now. The bubble is popped. Reality is visible. Uncomfortable, but true. And I have to live with that. Live with knowing I benefit from a broken system. Live with knowing my standards contribute to male suffering. Live with knowing I won't change despite knowing better. The hypocrisy is uncomfortable. But at least it's acknowledged. At least it's honest. That's all I can offer. Acknowledgement and honesty. No solutions. No redemption. Just uncomfortable truth. Welcome to the other side, I guess. Turns out Jake was right all along. And I was the entitled, insufferable one. Funny how that works.